You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Listening to the Bells of Liberty podcast, where freedom rings and the sassiness stings. Stay tuned for a little bit of sassy freedom. Hello and welcome back to the Bells of Liberty. We're so glad you're with us today. Since we'll be releasing the show just before the 4th of July, we'll be especially sure to talk extra freedomy this week, and it won't be too hard given what we'll be discussing. Last week we talked about 10-month-old Charlie Gard, the baby boy in the UK who suffers from a rare genetic condition, and his parents who have been fighting UK courts in order to save his little life. There have been some updates in the last few days, and unfortunately it's not good news. Bernie Sanders is in the news again, only this time he's not running for president, but possibly running from the law, as he and his wife Jane have some legal trouble and some laugh-out-loudable quotes from the socialist-in-chief and his first lady. In honor of the 4th of July, our Constitutorial will be all about America's greatest FU to Britain, the Declaration of Independence, and some fun facts about our founding fathers. And as always, a fresh Ring the Bell. So, Courtney, let's get the bad news out of the way because I would like to get back to some freedom-loving awesomeness.
I have to agree with that. Yeah, so this is a heavy topic, and I don't, there's been a lot said about it already, and I don't really know what else to say that hasn't been said because the story about Charlie Gard has caught the attention of everyone really here. To just let everybody know, Charlie Gard is a 10-month-old whose parents took him to the hospital because they noticed he was getting sick. He was born July 4th, 2016. A month later, they took him to the hospital because he was feeling sick and found out he had mitochondrial DNA depletion syndrome. And pretty much from that point on, it has been a fight with the hospital. He was getting treated, and then he was told that, or they were told that he was basically untreatable, and there wasn't a whole lot they could do. Well, the parents, being awesome parents, didn't really accept that, and they set up a crowdfunding account because they found someone in the U.S. who was willing to do the therapy that worked on a similar child, and this Charlie Gard is one of only 16 people who have ever had this condition. So that kind of plays into my point later on in this. In April, they raised enough money to pay for the cash to pay for air ambulance to America, as well as cover the experimental treatment. So they did a lot, not just in raising awareness about this, but getting the money that they would need to care for their son. Researching this has been heartbreaking. As I was researching it, there's a picture of, I printed off some papers, and my 10-year-old son was asked about what this was about, this picture of this baby that was all bandaged up and stuff. And so I gave him a quick, simple explanation. And he basically just collapsed in my arms crying. And how do you explain to your 10-year-old son the hospital said it's okay for him to die? I don't know how to explain that. So not really sure how the judges go to sleep. When the government gets so big that it can hide behind itself, it's always shielded from itself, and it doesn't have to look itself in the eye. And they get to pronounce judgment and give condescending remarks such as, it's with the heaviest of hearts that we pronounce, that this baby has to die. It's I'm sorry, but you know who has the heaviest of hearts? Charlie's parents. They want every chance that they can have to give their son a fighting chance, and they've been told that they can't even let him fight. It's not that they don't have the means to do it. It's they're told that they're not allowed to do it. And they have a doctor in the US that is willing to do the treatment, but a court has condemned an innocent baby to die. Courts are there to condemn the guilty. I'm sorry, I just kind of get a little choked up here. They're not supposed to condemn little babies to die, and I don't understand that at all. And it's not hyperbole, because they're literally pulling the plug on this little baby. And then the latest development is that they wouldn't even let him go home to be in the arms of his parents, surrounded by everything that could be loving to this child. He has to die in a sterilized environment. This is really just hard for me to get around. And for the courts to say that he will die with dignity is laughable. And, this is socialized medicine at its best, really. I mean, I know it's terrible, and that's why I say that this is socialized medicine at its best. And the picture of his parents leaving the court for the last time when they're fighting this, it'll haunt me forever. And the last tweet by, I don't know if it was their personal account, but it says Father's Day will be extra special this year as Chris gets to spend it with the apple of his eye, Charlie. And I don't understand how they can do that.
Well, I think, unfortunately, I don't want to make it political, but I do think it is political. I think if they were to rule any other way, and this child was to come to America and get the treatment that his parents have fundraised for, then they would have to explain why socialized medicine failed, especially if he got better. Which
I think you're exactly right.
I'm hearing varying reports on what is actually wrong with him. I know he has the genetic condition, and there's been reports that he had brain damage, which the court says, since that's irreversible, which, again, they don't know. They've said it's irreversible, so that's why he needs to die with dignity, because this experimental treatment will not work for him. Again, they don't know that. But now I'm also hearing that there is an MRI that was released that shows that he doesn't actually have any brain damage. So I'm not sure what's true, because of course the media is kind of at the beck and call of what people want to hear or don't want to hear. But I do really think this is just, they would have to explain themselves if he was held back for so long with socialized healthcare, and then came to a country that doesn't have that and was offering a treatment that could potentially help him. And if he did get better, then they would have to explain why they failed. So I do look at this as politically motivated. I don't think it's in the best interest of this child. Just because he might have the best doctor for this condition in the UK does not mean that that doctor is the end-all, be-all of that treatment regimen, or that he knows everything that needs to be known about this condition, or that he's the only one who can offer a potential opportunity for this little person to survive. I don't know how any court has the right to tell parents that they don't get to take their child to get what treatment they need. How many times have we heard of celebrities taking their kids across state lines or across borders from one country to another to get treatment wherever they know their kid is going to get the best of what they need? So I don't understand why a family who is fundraised, has the money in hand, has the will, and wants to do it, gets told that they can't take their baby to get treatment, even if there's a very slim chance that it'll work.
That's a huge thing, is that they're literally being held hostage, because actually during the court proceedings, they had the American doctor. He came and the court heard from that doctor, so they know what this doctor knows now. He was able to put it in terms, so this is what we would do. And so they want to pay their own way. They've got a doctor lined up, so they're not being irresponsible in any way. They have all their bases covered, and they're literally being told, you're not allowed to leave this country. You're not allowed to take your child out of our care and get him care anywhere else. And that is the truly terrifying aspect of this.
What's even more disturbing to me is that I've been reading comments on this, and everybody's like, oh, he's got brain damage. He's got brain damage. Even the American doctor said he didn't realize it was so bad, that, you know, the case was so bad. I'm like, did you ever stop to think that maybe his condition has progressed because this court has taken its own sweet time to determine if he gets treatment or not? I mean, if this kid has been in the hospital for 8 months now? He's only 10 months old, but he's been in the hospital for 8 months because of his condition.
Yeah.
I don't know how long they've been deciding how long this process has been going, how long this trial has been going on, but I would suspect that enough of it has caused enough of a delay that whatever damage might be happening to this little person's brain is because he's not getting the treatment he needs, even if it is experimental. So did they think for 1 second it might be their decision-making that is causing this child to be in the state that he's in? Of course not.
Exactly. And that's the downside to socialized medicine, is that a faceless nobody sitting behind a desk somewhere is the one that determines the kind of care that you're going to receive. In countries like the UK and in countries where socialized medicine is the norm, someone else gets to decide. And it doesn't matter whether the child is 1 month old or 60 years old. If they decide that life is not worth saving and it would be a waste of time and money to invest in correcting a health situation that someone is going through, then they're going to make that decision, and that's that. End of story. And your child is not yours. Your child belongs to the government, and when the government says, sorry, you can't heal your child and you can't take your child out of the country to get treatment because it's going to make us look bad, then we're going to tell you that you can't do it and you're just going to have to suck it up. So right now we are out of time for this segment, but don't worry, the Bells of Liberty will be back in a few right here on the Lanterns Radio Network. All right, and we are back, the Bells of Liberty on the Lanterns Radio Network. Jaina, is it me or do I smell something burning?
Oh, boy. I asked her not to say something pervy, and then she goes and pulls this. Okay, so yes, something is burning, and Bernie Sanders is definitely going to have to find some ointment for it. Because guess what? Like I said, he ain't running for president, but he's definitely running from something. In case any of you have missed it, Jane Sanders and her beloved Bernie are currently under investigation for some pretty shady dealings as of late. Apparently, Jane Sanders committed bank fraud while she was obtaining loans for Burlington College, a now defunct institution that Mrs. Sanders was once the president of, to the tune of $10 million, claiming that the college would be able to pay for that loan with at least $2.6 million that was supposed to come from increased enrollments and donations, none of which occurred. And in 2011, Mr. Sanders decided to resign from her position as president of Burlington College, which is now closed. So they're both currently under investigation, not only for Jane Sanders' alleged falsifying of documentation and data to a federal financial institution, but there is now questioning that Bernie himself used his political office to pressure the approval of this loan. No kidding. The school is now unpaid, possibly fraudulently gotten loans. Bernie's camp has claimed these allegations are fresh from January 2016 by a Vermont attorney by the name of Brady, I'm assuming this is German, so I'm going to pronounce it like it's German, Tensing, who also chaired Trump's Vermont campaign, and that it's all nonsense that's made up by Trump's camp. However, Bernie, that is nonsense, as the investigation was actually called for under the Obama administration in 2010, with Loretta Lynch presiding as Attorney General. So I'm thinking if anybody actually called for the investigation, it was probably Madame Hillary, who tends to do these things as well. So it's not like Trump is alone in pulling these fast ones and trying to get people in trouble so that they're no longer, a threat to the campaign. But it's been going on for at least 6 years now, shortly after it started, and it's a little funny considering Bernie's been tweeting a lot lately about greedy capitalists and capitalism-loving conservatives and whatnot. That we can't allow that and all these frauds to continue. So, also, I thought people might find this interesting that as if that isn't ridiculous enough coming from the capitalist conservatives, and anyone who doesn't believe in socialism is a greedy, evil, fraudulent person that should immediately be stopped and imprisoned. Another story has recently started circulating that Jane Sanders also tried to evict residents of a disabled person's group home that happened to be on the 33 acres that she allegedly fraudulently bought for Burlington College in 2010. She was supposed to work out the transfer of 16 residents to other facilities, but instead tried to have them evicted. Not transferred, evicted. According to the Daily Wire, based off of a passage from Judicial Watch's, it was apparently a report that came out based off of this eviction story that came out, that she went so far as to tell the attorney of the disabled residents that she was trying to evict that it is simply not fair to expect the college to continue to carry the burden of the expenses associated with housing both your population and ours until February 2012.
Oh, jeez.
You want to know why I laughed out loud, in case it isn't pretty obvious? That it's not fair to expect other people to continue paying for other people's problems? Is that not the mantra of Bernie Sanders with his free health care that everybody has a right to? And if you don't, sorry, you should just go out of business because it's not fair that you don't offer health care for people for free. So I just find it hilarious that this family who has made their own fortunes off the backs of other people and screams about how we should all be willing and happy to offer up our taxes and all of our hard-earned cash to pay for other people, turns around and has a problem with even the disabled living on ill-begotten land on a college that doesn't even exist anymore. That's a problem.
Yeah, it's always
so
funny.
Much layers of fail in there.
It's so funny how they always talk about crony capitalism going on the right, yet they get everything that they have through crony capitalism. Because this isn't the first time that things like this happens. In the same way that Nancy Pelosi had made her fortune by, trading, what is it, like almost like insider trading, like trading on information based on what she's received from the work that she does on Capitol Hill, and she's amassed a huge fortune. She's going to be a politician for life, but the way that she's gotten this money and the way that she's gotten ahead in life while the rest of us, work 2-3 jobs and sacrifice time with family and friends and so on and so forth, these people just use crony capitalism to line their pockets. But you can't do that. Like, you can't actually be a capitalist and do things the right way, because you just want to be rich. You just want to be a 1%er. It's like, Bernie, you are a 1%er.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you. Not everybody has like 4 mansions and like $10 bajillion in their bank account and like private jets and stuff. I don't know if he realizes that, because he seems to have had that for most of his life. But
wasn't there a meme going around about Bernie Sanders riding around on like this this hot red car, like a
several $1,000 like I mean it was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of car. Like, someone took a picture of it as it was going by, and I'm like, meanwhile, the bumper on my car is currently being held up with a bungee cord. So I feel like
And
if
I
I
wanted to
passed
tell
by
you about
Bernie
my
Sanders, he wouldn't be looking at me going, "Yep, see, you too are among the 1% because you vote Republican or conservative or anything that's not remotely Bernie."
I think it's really fitting that two of the stories that we have tonight are about UK socialism and American wannabe socialism, because I mean it's perfectly timed. You know, the 4th of July coming up, and it's nice comparison here because Bernie Sanders. Sorry, I lost
I
my
just
train
don't
of thought.
understand why it's wrong to want to be financially successful. I don't know why that equals you are evil and will never be charitable and will never, never give back to a community or will never do anything good with the money that you earn. I don't understand why being successful is so poo-pooed.
Well, Paul Allen just recently, I guess he's kind of feeling really moved to help the homeless in Seattle because they can't do jack schmuckatelli over there. They've moved these homeless camps from place to place to place because everywhere they go, they create a hazard because it's ridiculous. So Paul Allen is like, I think I want to commit $30 million to helping the poor in Seattle. He would not be able to do that if he wasn't monstrously rich, okay? So, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like some of these people get this money and they use it on themselves, yet they'll turn around and they'll tell people of means to
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, they'll turn around and tell people, well, you have to use your money the way that we tell you should use your money. It's like, Bernie, I don't see you taking your millions of dollars. It's like, why don't you take that $100,000 car, sell it, and give it to someone in need? Give it to several people in need. You can give 10 people in need $10,000 a piece, and they can probably get out of the situation that they're in. But I don't see you do that. You want everybody else to sacrifice, their hard-earned dollar to help others, but I don't see you doing the same thing. I don't see you sacrifice.
It's just the hypocrisy of the left. They, at every turn, this is the crap we see from them. It's utter hypocrisy, and yet the double standard never seems to cross over them when they go out on live television or do their interviews and demand that the rest of us be totally willing to give up hundreds of dollars of our income that we go to work every day for and drag our sorry butts to work even when we're tired or we just want to stay home and sleep. But we got to go to work to pay our bills, those hundreds of dollars worth of taxes that come out of our checks. We're supposed to be willing and happy to hand that over to whoever wants it or whoever might need it if they have a sad enough story. But you never see them being willing to do it. Never. You would never see Bernie Sanders doing that. He's going to hide in his mansion or in his fancy car before he would ever turn around and cut a not fraudulent check to somebody who might actually need it. They will never live by what they preach. They talk the talk, but they do not walk the walk. But they're willing to tell everybody else that they got to do it. Otherwise, they're greedy, nasty, sucky people. And that's what just infuriates me when I see stories like this, where he's going off on Twitter about how capitalists are horrible people and greed and fraud is so prevalent in this country, and we just need to bring it down. Yeah, hello, why don't you pull out a mirror, sir? You and your family seem to be at the forefront.
I don't have any mirrors, Jaina.
Well, obviously, because he doesn't know how to brush his hair. Let's just let's get that out of the way right now. The man looks like a Muppet who stuck his finger in a light socket.
Muppets are cuter.
Oh, man.
Well, at least they're less irritating.
I grew up with a Muppet.
Muppets are quite adorable. Bernie, not so much.
Just say it.
Can
you say socialism?
Right, Dana, there is such a hypocrisy, the people, this whole Charlie Gard story too, the people who are like, oh, we need to save the animals, we take care of them, we need to fight for, every chance, give them all these medicine and blah, blah, blah. Oh, kids, yeah, they need to go home and die with dignity. It's fine.
gee.
Sorry,
And also,
no.
we should be willing to pay
And-
for the murder of babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, women's health care, and that's what Planned Parenthood does, don't you know?
Oh, no.
Health
And
screens.
They
Health
offer
screens for
so
women.
much more. It is not
Oh,
just
yeah.
abortions. That is such a small portion of what they do, Rocky. Stop lying. Do you know how many women are going to die because you're against Planned Parenthood? Like, you're going to walk outside and start tripping over dead women. That's how bad it's going to be. Congratulations. All the women, all of them are dead because of you.
Oh my gosh.
Yes,
Oh.
Well, I'm so evil that I'm going to say right now that we are at time. So up next is our, boo yourself, sister.
I do.
Up next is a different version of the Constitutorial. Bells of Liberty will be back on Lanterns Radio Network.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Welcome back to the Bells of Liberty on the Lanterns Radio Network. Every week we use our constitutorials to explain what the Constitution stands for, but seeing as how this is Independence Day weekend, we figured we could jazz things up a little bit by discussing the companion document, the Declaration of Independence. So I wanted to bring a couple of fun facts about our walking papers to the British Crown. Although Thomas Jefferson is often called the author of the Declaration of Independence, he actually was a member of a 5-person committee that was appointed by the Continental Congress to write the Declaration. This committee was comprised of Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Robert Livingston, and Roger Sherman. When the Declaration of Independence was actually drafted, Jefferson actually took the edits of all the contributors, himself included, and he just incorporated everything into what would become the version that was finally adopted and signed. Also, one of the most widely held misconceptions about the Declaration is that it was signed on July 4th, 1776. In fact, independence was formally declared on July 2nd of 1776. On July 4th, Congress approved the final draft of the Declaration, and it wasn't signed. It was signed by at least 56 delegates, which was probably what was considered a majority at the time. It wasn't signed by at least 56 delegates until August 2nd of 1776. Some of the most famous lines in the Declaration of Independence were actually inspired by Virginia's Declaration of Rights, which was written by George Mason. In the Declaration of Rights, George Mason wrote, quote, "All men are born equally free and independent," while Jefferson's version of the Declaration of Independence states, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." Also, Mason listed man's natural rights to be the enjoyment of life and liberty, with the means of acquiring and possessing property, and pursuing and obtaining happiness and safety. Jefferson's version listed man's inalienable rights. I had it right the first time. I should have gone with that. Inalienable rights as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Also, when the Declaration was signed, the population of the nation at that point was estimated to have been 2.5 million. However, about 20% of the people in the colonies at the time considered themselves loyalists. So these were people who were loyal to the British Crown and weren't considering independence from England as an option, while those who were all about the American Revolutionary War and the Declaration of Independence called themselves the Patriots, not to be confused with that odious football team. I'm just saying. Um, the people who signed the Declaration were considered traitors to the British Crown. As such, these people would have faced a death penalty at that point. So when the Declaration of Independence was officially signed, or was signed by the delegates who did participate, the identities of these people were kept secret until January of 1777. And finally, on July 8th of 1776, the Liberty Bell was rung from the tower of Independence Hall. Independence Hall is actually used to be the Philadelphia Court Hall. And it was named Independence Hall because that's where the Declaration of Independence was signed. But on July 8th, the Liberty Bell was rung to summon citizens to gather around for the first public reading of the document, which was read by Colonel John Nixon. So in remembrance, every July 4th, the Liberty Bell is tapped. It can't be rung anymore because it has that big crack on it. So nowadays, it's just tapped 13 times in honor of the original 13 colonies. Also, as an aside regarding the break on the Liberty Bell, it bears to mention that crack actually was the bell received that crack shortly after it arrived from London when it was commissioned. So once it arrived to the colonies, I think it was rung once, and the crack developed. That crack was actually fixed twice, but it just broke again, and they basically just left it like that. So no, it did not crack when the Declaration of Independence was signed, even though that is touted as a fact. So I guess we could say that where and how the crack formed could probably be considered one of the first fake news in the history of the colonies of the United States.
The alternative facts of the Liberty Bell.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just going to go with it cracked because we freed them so hard.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's one of those situations in which there's a lot of urban legends as to how the bell got its tear, but it wasn't because it was rung too hard, or any other theory like that. But some people just think that sounds the coolest, so guess what, let's just make it stick because it sounds cool. We're just so awesome that the bell just broke in half.
Couldn't contain all of our liberty.
Exactly, because freedom can't be contained, and it's going to break stuff up. So something cool like that, because America is awesome, and come on, let's give a hand to America. I mean, come on, really. We have a great government system, despite what people may think. It actually works. We have far more freedoms than people do in other countries. We have ourselves a constitution that basically gives us the opportunity to do everything that would have us pursue that life, liberty, and happiness that the Declaration talks about, but it also tells us how we can do these things without interfering or disrupting other people's lives while we pursue those things that make us happy. So America's a pretty awesome place, and I'm happy to be here. And even though I wasn't born in the continental U.S., I was born in Puerto Rico, as was mentioned in the previous episode. I am an American citizen, and I could not be happier to be part of considered or consider myself to be a citizen of such a great country that gives us the opportunity to do and achieve so much. And then that's something that you don't see in other countries, or it's very limited. That's why people from other countries come here to achieve any level of success, however big or small it may be. It doesn't happen unless you come here.
Exactly. It's not perfect, but there is a chance. Way better chance for so many more people.
Exactly.
And the other cool thing is that there's so many Americans that aren't satisfied with letting other people suffer around them. So that's part of America that I love so much. Like, I live in a small community that likes to rally around and help other people. So I'm just saying, America, it's not perfect, but gosh darn it, it's awesome.
It's not perfect, but it sure is better than England.
Yeah. Let's not be like England.
No. We served England with the screw you guys, we're going home papers with the Declaration. I don't think that we should go back and be like, please take us back, and be just like them. I don't think that'll work.
We divorced them. We don't need to be the pathetic ex that comes crawling back. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. No.
As seen on Twitter, Brexit 1776.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
The original Brexit.
Everybody else just copycats.
Exactly. All right, so that's it for the Constitutorial for this week. I hope you learned something about the Declaration of Independence. So stay tuned for our favorite segment, Ring the Bell. Welcome back to the Bells of Liberty podcast here on the Lanterns Radio Network. And now it's time for our favorite segment, Ring the Bell. Jaina, I hear that you have the results from our poll from last week.
I do, but I was distracted by the dance that was just performed for me.
It's interpretive dance.
It's pretty distracting. I don't know what's happening, and it's making me feel weird. Okay, so past poll results, as seen on Twitter. Courtney's topic was about staring and how it can cause hallucinations with people if you, stare at someone longer than 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Staring into someone's eyes for longer than 10 minutes can make you trip like you're on LSD.
Cool. So apparently, we decided to ask who you would like to be in a staring contest with out of all of the Bells of Liberty. 18% of you said that you'd like to have a staring contest with me. I'd guarantee you'd lose. And you'd be tripping so hard after. Trust me. Look into my eyes. Anyway, 18% of you said that you would have a staring contest with me. 9% of you said you would have a staring contest with Rocky. I'm pretty sure that's because they're all terrified that as a Puerto Rican, she will cut you for attempting.
I'll cut you before you reach 2 minutes.
Exactly. And a whopping 73% said that they would like a staring contest with Courtney, the most introverted,
Take a bow. Congratulations.
creeped out by any kind of social contact, and just generally thinks everything is awkward. 73% of you said you wanted to have a staring contest with Courtney. I might want to disclaimer that by saying that Rocky, myself, and I believe Sammy all voted for this to go Courtney's way. So,
which is why I can say unreservedly, you all are shankopotamuses.
You're welcome. But
Shankopotami?
but we'll all be tripping while it happens. So anyway, thanks for that result, everyone. Our next topic was asking your infant for permission to pick them up as a way to battle rape culture. 29% of you said, and I don't know if I phrased the questions.
It was supposed to be, yes, I would ask, yes. It was supposed to be the other way around. Yes, the children need a safe space, and no, parent knows best. But whatever the case may be, yes is yes, no is no. Learn that, kids. Learn that.
Okay.
That's part of your rape culture.
Well, 29% of you didn't understand that because you said yes, and 71% of you said no. So, however that was supposed to go, there you go. And our last Ring the Bell from last week was mine, the guinea pig story. I know, I'm so predictable. I talk about guinea pigs all the time. Would you let an AI name your pets? 8% of you said yes, you're weird and unoriginal. Congratulations. 58.
Afterpie is a great name.
They are not great names, Courtney. Stop trying to make Afterpie and Splanky happen. They're not going to happen. 8% of you agree with Courtney that that's awesome. 58% of you said no, I would not, and I was one of those people because ew. And 34% of you said only if it's unique. I'd like to know what unique equals to you because I'm pretty sure Splanky and Afterpie do count as unique, but they're not names I would give any of my animals because I don't want them to hate me. So
there you go. Those are awesome names. If you think that those names, the AI generated names, are awesome and unique and different, then that's what you choose.
34% of you would do that.
I'm part of the 34%. I'm going to make a sign.
I'm just trying to ease my way into welcoming my robot overlords. That's all. So I think that if I accept these AI generated names, my transition will be much easier.
And your death will be last? Like they'll save you for later? The rest of us will just get killed first by the robots we're teaching how to sword fight?
I'm hoping to become a Cyberman. I think that will be the best outcome. For me.
Wow, somebody's watched a little too much Doctor Who.
There's
Anyway,
no such thing as that.
Next Ring the Bell. I guess we'll be starting with mine. Amy Schumer. I think anybody who knows anything about Amy Schumer knows that Amy Schumer is not someone I'm a fan of and never will be. She thinks she's funny. She is not actually funny and proved that once again. I think it was in this last week where she was asked a question and on the red carpet of all places, and now it's not loading, so whatever. Anyway, she said something on the lines of, I'm going to take a dump and name it America, because that's so funny to make fun of the country that you live in and like have gotten rich off of, and people keep going to see your terrible movies and keeping you famous. Like, isn't that so funny?
No.
Why aren't you laughing? I thought it was hilarious.
Because you're terrible, Amy.
Yeah.
If no one has told you, let me tell you, you're quite terrible.
Right. She is the worst. Anyway, she was saying to several fans about what she was planning to do later, and she says, well, I'm going to take a dump and name it America. Okay, fine. Well, you know what? I think your mom took a dump and named it Amy. So there you go.
Hey-yo.
You're horrible, and you should not be famous, and it hurts me that you are.
Exactly. All right, so I know y'all have been waiting to hear the ridiculous social justice warrior story of the week, and this one will definitely elicit facepalm moments nationwide. An assistant professor from the University of Iowa, Jana, I'm sure you know who she is, because, you're from Iowa, hey.
Yeah, because we all know each other.
Of course. I mean, duh.
Just like all Puerto Ricans know each other, right?
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's my cousin over there, So that lady is your cousin. Congratulations.
Yay.
So this assistant professor decides to write an op-ed piece that basically said that because white marble was used in classical artwork and sculptures, this contributes to the idea of white supremacy as it stands today.
Oh,
And that's
Lord
right.
have mercy.
You heard it right. You heard it right. Marble is white.
This is exactly why I decided I was no longer going to go to the University of Iowa. I did spend the first 2 years of college at the University of Iowa and discovered, hey, you know what? This place sucks. So I changed schools, and I'm very happy I did.
There you go.
Yes.
And I'm sure that was one of the smartest choices you've ever made in your life. You won't regret it. Trust me. So the piece was published in a magazine called Hyperallergic. Let's just take a moment to contemplate the name, because I don't know who comes up with the name.
Hyperallergic?
Hyperallergic, yes. Like, I'm sorry, is this a medical journal, or what is this?
Is this not offensive
Anyway.
to people who actually have allergies? Is that not
I was
like
gonna say.
belittling that they could potentially die from anaphylactic shock because they ate something or inhaled something they shouldn't?
I'm sure that someone with a medical condition is feeling triggered right about now.
I was going to say, I'm a little
I'm offended
right
for them,
now
to be honest.
for
I mean, that's just obnoxious.
allergy privilege.
So, Miss Bond went completely out of her way to declare that, quote, many of the statues, reliefs, and sarcophagi of the ancient Western world were in fact painted, end quote, and that, quote, the assemblage of neon whiteness serves to create a false idea of homogeneity, whatever it is. That just means that everybody's white across the Mediterranean region, and that these misconceptions provide further ammunition for white supremacists today who use classical statuary as a symbol of white male superiority. So basically it's like, wait, are you saying that marble is racist? Nah. Anybody who's visited a museum or watches a documentary on TV knows that art that is colored needs to be restored often because the original colors deteriorate over time. So if anything made out of marble was colored at some point, guess what? 100 and 1,000 years go by, the colors deteriorate, they need to be restored. This is seen everywhere. This is seen in buildings, this is seen in sculptures and everything. So for this professor to say that whiteness of marble generates white supremacy is the equivalent of jumping the shark. I mean, come on, calm yourself, ladies. Stop seeing everything through the prism of skin pigmentation, because people aren't as stupid as you think they are.
Okay, and also, can I point out something? I'm not saying that I'm an expert on like genetics and things like that, but she's talking about people from like the Mediterranean area, like Greeks, Italians, people who are not typically considered white. I'm just asking for a friend because I thought they were considered perhaps a different ethnicity than Caucasians. Am I wrong?
And not just that, it's the ridiculousness. It's like marble is white. Marble in its I believe that in its natural state is mostly white. So just because the vessel that was used to create these statues is of a certain color, it doesn't mean that people are automatically going to think that everybody from a certain region or the region that particular statue is supposed to represent is white. It's white. It's like a canvas. It's like when a canvas is white. You're not saying anything about anybody's skin color. It's just that the canvas happens to be white.
Well, like a lot of these artists are actually not white. This is what's really irritating me. Is this person is supposed to be a professor of art in this area, in this field, and she seems to forget that some of our most famous Renaissance sculptors and painters and so on and so forth were not actually white.
Mm-hmm.
That just boggles my mind. Let's just skip that part. Let's rewrite history so that our paper will get published.
There's so many levels of stupid in that. I mean, Rocky, you make an excellent point. Jana, make an excellent point. Both of them are very valid points. And that lady's an idiot. Serious.
Courtney, your turn.
Oh, okay. My turn. Well, just a real quick thing here, just to let everybody know in case y'all get scared and you're worrying about what church to go to and whatnot. You don't need to worry anymore because Mark Zuckerberg says that Facebook can replace God for you. So it's okay. Facebook is there for you, and I believe Facebook already takes confessions and holds them against you. So, they're already doing God's work there. Oh, I mean, sorry, not God's work, because we're replacing God with Facebook. Oh my gosh, I hate today right now. Can you imagine a world? Well, it kind of already is replaced by Facebook, but oh my goodness. I don't even want to imagine. It just sounds like a really bad B-plot movie, In a world without God, there's Facebook.
It's like, hey, listen, we all do it. We all look at our Facebook, during breaks and whatnot. But there's a difference between the people that have their face, like literally, they won't have conversations with you because they're looking at their phones. And people just casually look at Facebook once or twice, in the course of, a 2-hour period. So those people that make Facebook their God, then I guess this is just like one step further. This is their 11.
This is a great quote from him. So there's a lot of people who now need to find a sense of purpose and support somewhere else, he said, promoting Facebook's large community support group as a substitute. In fact, bringing people closer together is so important that we're going to change Facebook's whole mission to take this on. Okay. I saw the pictures of him on tour trying to act like a human.
Oh, God. He ate a tenderloin in Iowa, so now he knows what it's like to be Iowan. And let's make him president or something.
For the AIs, it's very important for the AIs to try to learn how real humans live, okay, Jana? So it was crucial that he ate the tenderloin.
Okay.
I don't know how he processed it, but he's an AI. I'm just going to go with that.
Yeah, I just love that. I've never been to Iowa before. It's so beautiful. Yeah. Okay.
Can I go pick some corn now?
Yeah, oh, look. This is where they grow the potatoes? Yes.
Wrong state, buddy. Wrong state.
Duh.
Wait,
we have indoor plumbing? What's that?
A little behind on the times, but you know what? We have tenderloins. So that's why he's here, right? Because tenderloins?
Yes.
I hate the word tenderloin, by the way, as an aside.
But it's delicious.
It's an awkward word to say. It's tender and it's a loin.
You just have to make sure the tenderloin is nice and moist.
Oh, geez.
Oh, that hurt. That physically hurt me. Okay, well, that's a story for another time. I think we have officially reached the end of our coherent speaking now, so it's probably a good idea if we call it a night. We really appreciate you spending the last hour of your time with us. I'm sure you're regretting it a lot now. But anyway, if you are interested in joining us for one of our podcast parties, our show does drop on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can join us on Twitter at Bells of Liberty. We run our polls that you can participate in. We do have one right now. We are looking at potentially selling some Bells of Liberty. Look at me. Liberty? We're the Bells of Liberty, guys. If you're interested in voting on our poll regarding our merchandise, that is still available. We're looking at potentially going to CPAC in February, and we thought this might be a way to fund our way there. If you want to follow us on Facebook, we post our links to our shows and things that we see throughout the week that might be of interest to you at The Bells of Liberty on Facebook. And if you miss any of our shows for any reason, or you just want to go back and listen to our sweet, tender voices, you are welcome to do that at SoundCloud, or iTunes, Google Play Music, or Spreaker, which is our Lanterns Radio Network page. So all of our social media is available for you at those places, and we will talk to you next week.
Happy Independence Day, everybody.
Yes, happy 4th. Oh, and I should mention this. The 4th of July is my mother's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. And she'd like to wish you all a happy day off that she gave you because it is her day of birth. Has nothing to do with Independence Day or anybody signing the Declaration of Independence. It is simply because my mother was born.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Mama
birthday,
B.
Mama B.
All right. Have a good week, guys. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to the Bells of Liberty podcast. Want to listen to more sassy content? All shows are available free on demand on Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play Music. Have something to say? You can find us on Twitter at Bells of Liberty, and also on Facebook, www.facebook.com/The Bells of Liberty. And as always, keep calm and ring on.